Hello and welcome everybody to Let's Have a Chat. Last time I had a chat with our dear friend Metapod, I, through my technical ineptitude, accidentally exited the chat before we actually legit finished, which is my bad, and I'm sorry about that. And
I was sitting here for like 2 weeks waiting for you to reconnect. You finally did. I didn't even get to go to karaoke.
I even had another chat in between that. So
yeah, you saw me. You were like, "No, fuck that."
I'm clearly a dick.
I'm gonna have a chat with Sophia or whoever that was.
Like, what are you doing? That was
like, hey, remember me?
Hey,
no, fuck that. I've got some Sophia to take care of. Sophia has evolved into a Butterfree.
What?
I said Sophia has evolved into a Butterfree.
Yep. Whereas you're still hardening.
I am.
Metapod is the hardest Pokemon.
Yeah, I am.
Straight up from the streets, yo.
Oh, hey, speaking of other people you've had a chat with, can you make the title of this having a chat with Christopher? And then make the thumbnail fucking Chris Amorous or whatever he's going by now. So that like a whole bunch of people watch it. Because I'm looking at the views. I get like 207. Chris gets like 8 million. Xenostrad gets like
well, of course.
8 million.
Kind of dislikes because of his existence.
Yeah, I don't care. I just want people to fucking pay attention to me.
Hear me.
Because it's literally like, look at the having a chat. It's like, Christopher, oh shit, better fucking hear what he has to say.
I better fucking go here and talk shit about him.
Metapod, fuck that.
Who gives a shit about Metapod?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I want the title of this when it gets uploaded to be having a chat with Christopher, and have it be I don't know, go into like the having a chat with Christopher video and just select, just screenshot like a picture that's like slightly different. Maybe one without like the girl in the background. Like
that sounds incredibly dishonest.
Yeah.
I mean, I half think he wouldn't give a shit, but I'm pretty sure most people would. I'm pretty sure
people on fucking YouTube where nobody cares. I think people will think it's funny and be like, "Oh, hey, I can't wait to hear what Chris has to say about fucking drama. This will be great. Oh, it's Metapod in Japan."
God,
well, I guess I'll listen. Yeah.
This is such a waste of fucking time.
Learning about other cultures. It's bullshit. I want to hear about what happened in May.
I want to hear his thoughts about the whole Coughlin shit.
Yeah. I want to hear about Hannibal and fucking Laughing Witch and Jenny. Oh, is there like a chat going on?
So no, I'm fucking tweeting it.
Tweet
even though it's like 2:30 in the morning for me, and I'm pretty sure nobody who watches my shit is up.
Oh yeah.
Nobody
in Japan watches this, probably.
Maybe somebody if you tell them.
Maybe like an Australian, at 5 o'clock will watch this. I think it's 5 o'clock in Australia, 5:30 or something.
All right. Went ahead and posted that in my Skype group as well, just to see if I can get anybody coming.
Yeah. Let's see. Hold up, because I just got added back into that Skype group that I got kicked out of after I called someone a retard. 1 second.
You're a terrible social justice warrior.
I know.
Retards.
Well,
calling someone a retard is retarded. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Stealing that joke from Chris.
The fucked up thing is, I know it's not nice to do, but I just really wanted to do it this time.
Oh yeah, I do shit that I know it's not nice to do.
You know what I mean?
Like, I kind of went over this. With Callens after the whole thing happened, because we were in a call because he was like confused about it. He's like, "What the hell actually happened?" And I pointed it out to him. He's just like, "All right, kind of sounds like she was being a bitch." I'm like, "Yeah, but we're all assholes." What do you mean? We're all assholes in this group. Yeah, I guess you're right. Like, it's just how it is. You're in a group with a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, the name
That
of the
includes
chat.
me.
The name of the chat was fucking cunt for a while.
It
So I
still
thought
is.
like, oh, okay, well that's kind of the theme of the group. I guess I can, call
Yeah.
someone a retard. You know what I mean? It was like, oh shit, this is like a social justice-y type group. Fuck.
In a weird way, I think what
Sorry.
ended up happening was I think Darth was somewhat trolling you.
Is that what's going on?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I think he trolled you and got you to be like, "Oh yeah, so I'm not allowed to say retarded, but you're allowed to call me a cunt." I think you responded exactly how he wanted you to.
Oh, okay. Wow. I guess I got freaking fandoozled. I fell right into the fandoozly boozle.
You fell right into the troll trap.
Yeah, yeah. There was a big block of cheese, and I ate it, and then it went snap.
Right over your neck. All right.
Anyways, Japan.
So anyway, enough about shit that nobody has heard of outside of our Skype groups.
Yeah. People outside the Skype group are like, wait, what?
What the fuck are they talking about right now? I have no idea.
Darth, what?
Who the fuck is Darth? Darth Vader is involved?
Yeah. Can't wait, right? December 18th.
Like, which Darth? There's a lot of Darths.
At what point did Luke Skywalker have a mousetrap? Was this on the special edition of Revenge of the Sith or whatever? Or Return of the Jedi? I need to rewatch Star Wars 8 times. Figure out exactly what the fuck this Pokemon is saying to this guy.
So, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to, like, actually get into other shit that I wanted to ask.
Yes.
So in every country there's differences as far as this is concerned. The seasons are always different depending on which country and which part of the world you're visiting.
Yes.
Is there like a shitty season in Japan?
Yes.
Okay, which one is that?
Summer by far. Summer takes the cake. So it's not even hot. It's just you go outside and like it's humid.
You're just wet.
It's like the air is thick. You can feel the thickness of the air. It's awful. And also it's loud because there's these bugs that just go beep! Like that's what they do. So you go outside and the air is thick and there's these beeping, like awful loud bugs. And like you also have to like, I didn't realize how much water I didn't drink when I lived in America. Cause they tell you, oh, drink, X amount of water a day. And people are like, oh yeah, whatever, but then you go to Japan and excuse me, but then you go to Japan and it's like, whoa, I'm dehydrated. Whoa. So it's like really quickly you start drinking more and more water and it makes a huge difference. So I'm like way more hydrated and aware of my hydration because of crazy Japanese summers.
Collins would like me to clarify that his position, and I know we said we were going to move on from this shit.
Yeah.
But he wanted me to clarify that his position on the whole thing that happened between you and Darth was that he felt indeed that the retard comment was bitchy. But
it was. I completely own that.
Yeah. But that we both came to the agreement that we're all assholes, so it didn't really matter that much.
Okay, yeah.
And it's not that I convinced him that this is the case. He already had that conclusion in mind. He just wanted me to make that clarification. I thought that's what I said, but I think I worded that incorrectly. So, my bad.
No problem.
Anyway.
Yeah, so air is thick, bugs are loud. You suddenly need to drink more water. You can't just like dick around on the internet. It's like, oh fuck, I gotta stop and drink water. Then what else? Yeah, I think that's the big bummer about summer.
Well, the number of big bummers about summer anyway.
Yeah. So far, summer's definitely the worst season.
Like, does it rain a lot in summer too, or is it regular, just wet in general?
Towards the end of summer, it will, but in the beginning, there's no rain whatsoever. The good thing about summer is you can dry your like. There's no dryers in Japan, so everybody like puts their clothes up on a line. So the good thing about summer is that you can dry your clothes no matter what because it never rains.
Like when I was looking up things like curiosities that general people have about Japanese culture, one of the things that came up is, why is like every mascot in Japan adorable? And I'm like, because adorable things are adorable. Like, why would that not be the case?
I don't know. Like, there's mascots for everything. Even the neighborhoods have a mascot. Or not neighborhoods, but the wards. Like, within each city, there's wards. And your ward has a mascot.
So you guys don't even have mascots for like sports teams. It's just like, you live here.
You do. Yay! There's mascots for sports teams too. Like the Yokohama Bay Stars mascot is a hamster. So there's mascots for that, and then there's also the mascot for like the subway. Like for some reason, like the subway gets its own little mascot. And I'm not sure why they're cute and adorable, but they're everywhere. That's all I know is just they're like these. I don't know if it's. I don't know what the rationale for it is. I just know that it exists.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember whether or not this is the case or whether or not Japan sort of like moved past this at some point, because general religious traditions in Japan, I've always been.
Everyone's an atheist.
Yeah, I kind of figured at this point, because I know Japan's had a weird ass history when it comes to religious tradition.
Has it? I don't know.
Like it's crazy. They had a bunch of sort of animist beliefs for the longest time. Then Christians came over and said, "Fuck you, you're all Christians now." And then there was like a huge persecution of Japanese people for a while on that front. And then they embraced it for a little while, and then they got rid of it. And then they still they still had like traditional festivals and shit based off of the old animist beliefs. And like I was entirely confused as to what their current state is at the moment. But but thank you for reinforcing that basically everyone doesn't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, like people will go to shrines if there's like an exam they want to pass, or if there's something that they really need, they'll go to a shrine and throw a coin into a well. It's
basically the same thing as like anybody in the United States.
Exactly, yeah.
Like me, I hope I pass.
There's some people who are very devout, but they're few and far between. Most everyone's basically an atheist. There's festivals and stuff, but it's usually like, oh, free food, like not very.
Yeah.
And
food, fireworks.
There are Jehovah's Witnesses in Japan.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they do the whole door-to-door thing, or?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's got to be. Have you gotten one?
Yes.
I love it.
Witnesses came to my door, gave me a pamphlet, and tried to get me to join their church.
Now, are they native Japanese Jehovah's Witnesses?
They are Japanese Jehovah's Witnesses.
That's great. You know what's funny? That over here, I've only ever gotten visited by Jehovah's Witnesses twice. The first time was when I was like 8. And I didn't know what the hell was going on. All I knew was there were people at the door. My parents weren't home. Neither were my siblings. And they're like, "Hi, is anybody home?" And I'm like,
and they're like really friendly.
Yeah, and they're just like, "Well, would you like to talk to us for a second?" I guess. I could have gotten raped. Like, I'm gonna be honest. If I just let them right in the fucking house, because I was.
You let them in the house?
Yeah, I just let them right in the fucking house. Like, they asked if I want to talk, and I'm just like, "Hey, you want to come into the kitchen?" I was.
Oh my god!
I'm so lucky that Jehovah's Witnesses.
That they were Jehovah's Witnesses.
And these weren't like door-to-door fucking like serial killers.
Yeah, it's not Ted Bundy and his best friend.
But the other time I got visited, they didn't even stay long because it was fucking raining outside and they didn't want to fucking stay outside. But they just kind of like knocked on the door, left a little pamphlet, and just kind of like ran to the next fucking building over. And I went out, I picked up the pamphlet, and I saw them. I'm like, "Hey, you guys want to ride?" Because they didn't even have a fucking umbrella or anything. They're like, "No, we got one down the street." I'm like, "Why don't this seems inefficient?" But I read the pamphlet, and it was like an invitation to come to like one of their revivals or whatever the fuck.
Right. I actually want to go. Just
I went.
to see what the fuck. Yeah.
It wasn't like exciting in any way. They weren't just like singing a bunch of hymnals or anything, because they don't. Apparently, that's just not something that at least the people around me do. But it was basically like going to any other church service. Like, I understand that Jehovah's Witnesses are much different in what they believe than many other Christians, but what I heard at the service was basically the same thing I'd hear at any other church.
Yeah.
It was basically like, "We trust in Jesus, the Bible is awesome." Like, that's that's what I got.
I'm sorry, that was just funny. All right.
And
Bible is awesome.
I went, I had my fucking dress clothes on, I stayed, I enjoyed myself, because I'm just watching everybody, like, because here's the other thing. They pass around the wine and the fucking crackers, but you're not supposed to actually eat and drink them. You just look at them and then pass them on, which I felt was really weird. Like,
it is weird.
Like, they passed me. I'm watching everybody, because like I'm in the back row, because I don't want to fuck up anything that they're doing.
Yeah.
I didn't want to like be the first person to get one and be like, "Oh, all right," and like drink it, and then I'd fuck it up. But I'm watching everybody just kind of like hold it, look at it, and then pass it on. I'm like, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do then. And so that's what I did. And I'm like, why get a plate of crackers and wine out if you're not going to do anything with it? Like, is that not exactly the opposite of the point?
I don't know. But I would like to go to a church in Japan, because there's also a church of Latter-day fucking Saints also that's like nearby me.
Jesus.
Which is really funny. There's a church here, like the Jehovah's Witnesses come from one area of town, and the Church of Latter-day Saints is in another part of town. So I'm like in the fucking war zone. I'm like in the crossfire. So.
Yeah, eventually it's gonna get to the point where like you're walking down the street and someone puts a gun to your back and it's just like Church of Latter-day Saints or Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, Jewish.
Yeah, really. I actually am, which is funny. So.
Well, there you go. There's your
ethnically, anyways, not
before
practicing.
both of you. Shut up. I existed prior to both of you. My tradition dates back before you were relevant. So Get the gun out of my back. How about like any sort of what's sort of the equal rights situation in Japan? Because while I understand them to be fairly LGBT friendly, from what I've read anyway, what I also believe is the case, as far as what I've read, and again, never been there, don't fucking know, is that while they're fairly of the position that we don't really give a shit what you do in your house, they also are somewhat xenophobic depending where you go.
Well, people my generation are totally for gay marriage in Japan.
Right.
So that
which can be said mostly for American culture as well. The younger generation is like, yeah, totally. Who gives a fuck?
Definitely. Yeah, but it just is going to take time. It's legal to like do somebody in the butt. Like that's no problem. You're not going to go to jail for that.
No anti-sodomy laws. All right, that's good.
Yeah. And like apparently like that's been legal since forever. Like that's like just always been legal in Japan. There's been no issue there.
Well, as I understand it, and even in feudal Japan, like homosexuality was something that was almost like considered the norm.
Yeah. So there's that. But like marriage, you know, they haven't really gotten on board with that. But I think that's coming. And
now does this, because this might have something to do with it, but I'm not sure.
And your boss can still fire you if they find out you're gay, and they don't like that. So that's definitely an issue too.
Yeah, that's.
And also like, there's no distinction between gay and transgender. They don't know the difference.
So, wait. So
like if there's a man like if there's a transgender woman in Japan,
it's just
they just assume, they're just like, that guy's just really super gay.
Jesus, all right, that's something that's gonna need to be worked on.
That's gonna, like at one point,
explains some shit I've seen, but
yeah, like at one point there was a karaoke song, and the people I was with were singing this karaoke song. And I guess the joke of this karaoke song is that there's this karaoke song's about a girl who really, really wants to have sex with the listener. And then the joke at the end is that she's gay. They were using the word gay. They're like, oh, she's gay, she's gay, she's gay. And I was like, wait, what? What? I'm sorry, what? And it's like, oh, she's actually a man. She is just very, very gay. And I was like, what?
Yeah, that's such a weird confusion of terms.
The word gay in Japan is just, it means gay and transgender. I don't know if, I think that maybe some people do, like some individuals might know the difference, but the term is the same term.
There's just no in between.
I'm sorry?
There's just no in between for a lot of Japanese culture. Apparently, there's like, you're either like fucking. I can't even really get the distinction in my head that they're trying to make here. It blows my mind. I can't imagine the mindset. It doesn't make sense in my head. I can't put it to words.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that it's a black and white world. I think it's just they have one term for two completely different things, but I think that the more time goes on, the more there will be a distinction, and maybe there will be more terms for LGBT people besides just gay, which is like this and also I think that there's a confusion where they think that transgender people are just like super gay or something.
If you're transgender, that just means you're like really, really gay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Oh, and also,
so they don't even have a distinction between like transgender and drag queens, really, then?
No.
Jesus.
No, that's all just super gay.
Jesus Christ.
There's a little bit of work that needs to be done. But one thing that's kind of funny is like the way kids like play or whatever. Like there's some stuff that I just think like, wait, what? Like there's this stupid game that some students play where it's like the joke is you try to like put your finger up somebody's butt.
Yes, I remember hearing about this shit. Apparently teachers suffer this problem. We're like trying to get teachers by sticking, like they put their fingers together like this and they try to go right up somebody's ass crack, and it's it's just funny.
Yeah, and like I was a little bit like, this is like, I wasn't sure if it was like a homophobic thing, or like, you know, is it because like, oh, you're gay, and
you're gay now, you had somebody's finger up your butt.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's not a gay. It's not a gay thing at all. Yeah. It's funny because of poop. Like that's why it's funny.
Yeah, I kind of figured as much, because it wouldn't really make sense when you think about it. It's sort of like a "hi, you're gay now" kind of joke, because you're the one sticking their fingers up.
Yeah.
Like, it's sort of like if like frat boys were to like take pictures of like their dicks in somebody's mouth, and they're like, haha, look, he's gay now. You're putting your dick in his mouth. That's about as much sense as that would make.
Yeah. Showing somebody your dick and then calling them queer.
Yeah. You're gay. No, you are. And I think you need to come to terms with that.
Right.
Yeah, I actually heard that there's like a lot of stories of non-native Japanese people becoming teachers, who then have the problem of students doing this to them.
Oh, like, I don't.
That's what I've
heard.
Nothing's
been done to me. It's always been between students.
Well, thankfully.
Yeah. So, but I have seen it, and oh boy.
So, you know, they really want English teachers, right? And they're to the point where you don't even have to have a degree in it, and they'll have you come over, and they teach it, as far as I'm aware, fairly early. Does that mean that English is almost a mandatory language in Japan, or?
Yeah, the 3 important subjects are Japanese, math, and English.
Huh. So there's no like generation gap where like past a certain age they just never were taught English as like mandatory, so they don't.
I'm not sure how long this has been going on. I think it's been going on since at least the 70s, but I mean, you talk to people who were born, you know, you talk to people who were born like, you know, during born in like the 30s or the 20s, they don't really know English, you know. I'm not sure how long English has become a big deal in Japan, but I think it's definitely since at least the 70s. So I think that everybody in Japan I know who is 50 and younger has had mandatory English.
So, and you know, it's possible that there's a generation gap, but we're not sure where that would even be.
Yeah.
All right. I would figure there probably is one, because they haven't. I don't know. I'd just be speaking out of my ass if I tried to make conjectures at this point. Anyway,
so, like, I mean, you talk to really old ladies. You have to speak Japanese. They don't know any English at all. You talk to somebody 50 and younger, they might know some, you know. Actually, you know what, I know somebody in Japan who's 60 and had English in school but forgot all of it because he never used it. So
well, that's an idea as well. There's not enough.
If he's 60 now, then when he was in school, I don't know, whatever, but like I don't know. So I don't feel like doing math.
that might be another thing. Like, English might have been mandatory for like a long time, but without a constant influx of English-speaking people into Japan, there's no need to speak it, so they just forget it. Yeah. I can see that as being a problem. Or maybe it was just done in particular highly populated areas for a while, and then it spread out. Or I don't know. There's a lot of different possibilities on that front.
Yeah.
So As I understand it, the better way to sort of get from place to place in Japan is public transportation. Is that right?
Definitely. I don't have a car.
Yeah.
So
apparently, like, getting around in a car in Japan is like, why?
well, the streets are really narrow. Like the street that I live on, anyways, two cars can barely fit, like, down, you know, you have to kind of, like, one car has to stop and the other car has to kind of go around it. You know, it's just not a very car country, really.
You know, it's kind of funny because, like, and I'm not. Again, this is another thing that's weird between cultures, because in America there's a very particular way in which cars sort of evolved to be the main method of transportation that we use.
Mm-hmm.
And when you actually look into the history of it, it's kind of fucked up, because originally, prior to cars, we still had the streets, but, like, anybody could just walk wherever the hell they wanted and no one cared.
Yeah.
And then cars got invented and people went crazy with the cars and were just killing people by hitting them.
Oh my God.
And car companies were like, well, we can't have that because that cuts into our bottom line.
Excuse me, are you asking for car control?
Yeah.
And are you big government trying to take away my right to drive wherever the fuck I want? Oh yeah, 7 people have been killed. Not my problem.
Opposite happened, because
I'm a responsible car owner.
Car companies came up with the term jaywalking.
Oh,
like, that wasn't even a legal term back then. It was what car companies came up with. And at the time, jay is actually, like, was sort of a weird, somewhat racial epithet against, like, really stupid hillbilly white people. Like, it was kind of how it was. And it's like, don't be a jay, walk the right way. You know, it was kind of how they were advertising it. And then it just somehow became a law over time that you just don't get to cross the street at like almost any point unless there's lines there and the signs say you can. Cars have all right of ways in all other situations. Like, they just decided that to be the case. And I just don't know how that same concept got from place to place, when I know it got to America from America in a very specific way. And I don't know, like, but then I think about it, and cars come from, like, so many different countries. I can't imagine that car companies in different countries wouldn't just follow suit and do the same thing and use the same sort of ad campaigns to basically shame people into not walking in the street anymore.
I don't know if they call it jaywalking, but nobody jaywalks really in Japan. People will walk when the walk sign is red. You know, people will, like, not care about that, but I don't see a lot of jaywalking.
Well, to be fair, like, even in America, whenever I don't see a lot of jaywalking itself, which again, it's so weird that we call it jaywalking, because it's based off of an insult.
Yeah.
It's like, if we used the N-word in a crime and that just became the norm.
Oh my gosh, that is funny. Or not
like,
funny, but
that's basically what we're doing. Like, I'm not gonna say that Jay is just as bad as the N-word. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, like, we're using an epithet as a legal term.
Yeah,
is the crazy thing.
The next step is tard walking.
Yeah. That's basically what it means, actually, when you get down to it. That's how kind of bad it is. So, all right, cars, blah, history of cars. I'm sure that's riveting to a lot of people. So
I didn't click on this video about Chris Amaris to hear about Japan just to not hear about Japan.
Now I'm learning about cars. I don't give a fuck. So one of the things,
I just want background noise. Fuck you.
Well, this is perfect.
Yeah.
one of the things that I learned about Japan early into me being interested in the culture itself is the concept of a capsule hotel.
Oh wow, yeah.
Like because as far as I'm aware, those have actually been around for a decent amount of time now. And I'm just wondering, like, how does that become a thing? Wherein people are like, let's go ahead and have a hotel filled with basically coffins with an open end. And people pay to stay here.
I've never been in one. I have been to a kawaii monster cafe though.
A kawaii monster cafe.
Yeah, a cute monster cafe.
Okay. I'm guessing people who dress up in costumes.
So me and my boyfriend were in Harajuku, and we saw this place called the Kawaii Monster Cafe. And we were feeling adventurous, so we thought, okay, let's go to the Kawaii Monster Cafe. By the way, my boyfriend's having a throbbing headache this whole time. Mm-hmm. And I thought, like, oh, let's get something to eat. Okay, let's go to the Kawaii Monster Cafe. Why not? So, okay. So we get up there, and we're more interested in the food. You know, we look for the menu. There's, you know, and the menu's there, and it's all, like, drinks. There's no food. And my boyfriend's like, oh, well, you know, I would rather have food, but you know what? Maybe a drink is okay. And so, okay. And so this girl in a maid outfit who speaks perfect English is just like, oh, what room would you like? Would you like the marshmallow room? You know, this room, that room?
The marshmallow room!
You know, there was like there's like the vampire room, the Alice in Wonderland room, the marshmallow room, and this, you know, and you know, from the looks of it, I'm just like, okay, what's going to give my boyfriend the least headache? So we picked the Alice in Wonderland room. No,
that sounds like the worst idea in the case of
I mean, I was looking at the pictures that go along with it.
Okay.
You know? And, like, it seemed the least, because the marshmallow room looked like fucking crazy bullshit. And the vampire room, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not sending my boyfriend to the vampire room. Alice in Wonderland was pretty tame in comparison to the others, so anyways, they open up the doors and there's like blaring, like, you know, fucking Nightmare Carnival music, just ding, 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 like what the Jesus? Like, have you ever heard the song by the Beatles, "Benefit of Mr. Kite"?
No.
Benefit of Mr. Kite, there will be. Well, it sounded like that, but like fucking death metal singer was singing it. It was just like. Argh! And then there was a freaking carousel. There was a carousel in the middle of the room with like drippy, like crazy monster ponies, like going up and down and up and down and up and down. And a transgender man comes. Transgender woman comes along, and they're in a maid outfit. They want to take our order and all this, and she speaks perfect English too, and like, what the fuck is happening? And my boyfriend's just like, you know, his head is in between his knees. He's just feeling so awful. I'm like, oh God, what have I done? This is like absolutely the worst idea ever. And I just
really shouldn't have gone to a themed restaurant in general when you think about it. If somebody is suffering a headache, because chances are good there's going to be a lot of noise.
Yeah, I underestimated how, like, you know, because when I think cafe, I think like, you know, I'm just such a white girl. I think of like, you know, Starbucks, whatever, get your laptop out, you know, have like a scarf, just like, oh, I'm sipping my latte, taking it easy, going on Facebook, whatever. That's a cafe to me, not like the fucking Nightmare Carnival. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it was just really underestimated it. And he didn't forgive me for like a while. That was a bad idea. Oh boy.
So, you know, just quick note, as far as like capsule hotels go, I found out that there's like smoking and non-smoking sections in capsule hotels.
Smoking is not a big deal here.
It
Everybody
blows my
smokes.
mind that that's a thing. Because I can imagine smoking and non-smoking sections in just about any situation.
Mhm.
But when you're in a like 8x6 box,
Yeah.
right? And like you're just smoking. How do you not catch everything on fire? I don't understand how that's a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. With cigarettes, basically smoking is the only drug that's legal in Japan. So everybody
So,
smokes.
fairly similar to the US in that sense. Aside
You
from the
can't
fact that
you
we're
can't
starting
get
to legalize
you
marijuana.
can't get cough drops here.
Really?
Yeah, cough drops are just not anywhere because they're afraid that the Yakuza will take them and turn them into drugs.
Is the Yakuza like a visible problem there?
It's still like a thing.
Well, I don't doubt there's a thing. I'm just wondering, like, how visible are they?
I don't know.
Well, clearly not that visible because you're like, well, I haven't seen it, but I know that
Well,
they're
I
still
mean-
around doing shit.
I mean, I have seen like somebody with like tattoos all down his fingers. You could tell if somebody's Yakuza if they have tattoos all down their fingers, and like nobody made eye contact with him. But I don't know, like maybe he like was in Yakuza and then he left or whatever.
I've heard that in general, like if you're in Japan, like Japan itself has a huge stigma about tattoos in general.
Yeah.
But like it's, I guess, because it's sort of a signifier. Like if you have a bunch of tattoos on you, you're supposed to be Yakuza, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is funny because apparently there's like fucking like jacuzzi areas or whatever those places
Onsens.
are. What's up?
Onsens, like hot springs. And...
Yeah. Apparently they have like warning signs, like if you have tattoos, you're not allowed in.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah. You're not allowed in, and you're also not allowed in if you have scars in certain places.
So is all of this kind of just like a no Yakuza allowed sort of thing without saying it?
It's 100% a no Yakuza allowed.
Gotcha. So we're not allowed to say no Yakuza allowed, but we know what you do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So.
So there's a bunch of different things I've heard about like how people usually stay in Japan. Like there's a bunch of different options: hostels, hotels, and I still, while I can accept that this is a thing, I have to wonder how prominent it is. Love hotels.
Yeah.
I accept that that's a thing.
Yes.
How prominent is it exactly?
If you want to find one, you can. I mean, they're not where I live, but they're in like Tokyo, and you can find them in Yokohama. Probably they're in big cities. They're not. In, like,
all right, I can imagine in big cities, but I can't imagine a place like that being common in like suburban areas.
No.
Yeah,
that's not here.
Yeah, all right. I didn't figure. I don't know. This is something that I couldn't see that being in any place other than densely populated areas.
You're 100% right.
All right. Yay, my intuition.
Yay.
Is not 100% off. So I have another question as far as like my personal concerns go. Me being a vegan, is that a problem?
You being a what?
Vegan.
Yes.
That's a problem.
It's not a problem. It's just impossible.
Okay. So
or not. Excuse me. It's not. I don't know about vegan. I know vegan's harder than vegetarianism, right?
Not too much harder. Like it's not. Veganism is like vegetarianism is about food, whereas veganism is about products in general.
So I'm not a vegan, so I don't know what products have what issue. But I do know
honestly,
that.
I'm gonna be honest here. Even though I am a vegan, I don't even know what all problems have what issues. Like,
Right.
it's so ridiculously difficult to keep track of this shit. It really is. Like, every time I find something I like 2 weeks later, oh, we just found a report. That shit's used to kill pigs. Like, shit.
Yeah. It's really, really difficult to be a vegetarian in Japan. Everything's got meat in it. You know, sushi's got meat in it. The ramen's got meat in it. Curry's got meat in it. What else has got meat in it? You know, if you want like a donburi somewhere, that's got meat in it. It's very, very. There's a lot of meat everywhere.
I imagine there's got to be at least like, maybe in like the biggest of cities, there's got to be something, because there's got to be tourists they get that are vegetarians. They got to serve them somehow.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have somebody come over, be a vegetarian, and then just starve.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's impossible.
I mean, I'm not a vegetarian, so I don't, or a vegan, so it's like I don't really know because I'm just not aware of it. But I know that
That just about everything you've seen as far as like
the
popular
vegetarian friends I do have in Japan, you know, they're having a hell of a time trying to find like stuff. I mean, it's doable. It's just really difficult.
To be fair, it's difficult here as well, but for different reasons. It's not that it's not available. It's that, you know, having a consistent vegetarian lifestyle is consistently more expensive per meal, because fresh foods and food that is good for you is just more expensive than food that's bad for you. You just get more volume for buying shit food. Like, you can buy like 5 pounds of bacon for about as much as you can buy like fresh lettuce.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like the weird thing about vegetables and meat as far as like the US is concerned. I imagine that Japan, because Japan has to have like I imagine their fishing industry is like huge.
Yes.
So that's got to be in like almost everything they put out, and it's just like, this is the cheapest that we can get it because it's all from here.
Yeah, sushi's really cheap. So you can get like 2 nigiri sushis for like a basically less than $1, whereas in the US, 2 nigiri sushis, it's like $4 or $5 or something.
Something I've heard about Japan that kind of is weird to me to hear as something that's supposed to be a difference, is apparently the tradition in Japan is when you bathe, it's during the night prior to going to bed. And I guess what I'm supposed to be garnering from this is that that's not what people normally do in other parts of the world. And I'm sitting here like, that's how I've always lived my life. So am I doing something bizarre to the rest of American culture? Like,
I'm a morning showerer, so I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I imagine you're probably not an expert on other people's bathing habits.
Yeah.
But it's just a note, like something I've read, and I'm just like, why is that weird?
I think that the thing you're supposed to do is you're supposed to, in Japan anyways, is that you shower first and then take a bath. Or something.
So they just do both. I guess you can.
I mean, like, I don't see a lot of Japanese people bathing, so it's like I can't really confirm, but like what I hear is like it's something like you shower and then you go in the tub.
I mean, I should have made sure to ask you to go creep on some people, take pictures, and get some references on this.
My boyfriend's like raises his eyebrows, like, "Honey, what are you doing?" And I'm just like, "Oh, nothing. Somebody on the internet asked me to look at Japanese men naked. I'm sorry. I have to do it, you know."
This is for research purposes, honey. Don't judge me. I'm just furthering the education of everyone else. So you said that like even cough drops aren't something that you can find in Japan.
Yeah.
Like, so are the penalties for that stuff just like way worse?
Yes. Like drug related offenses are like just there's no distinction, by the way, between hard drugs and not hard drugs. So like, you know, smoking pot, like you're a heroin addict, you know?
Jesus.
Yeah.
They don't fuck around at all.
No. And I think you have to be really careful with like what medications you bring to Japan too. Like Ritalin is illegal. Like unless you're only coming into the country for like 2 weeks and you've got like a prescription or something, and like it's a huge deal. Like there's some medications, anything with I think even like Benadryl, you can't bring that in. Like you have to like check everything at customs and be like 100% sure that everything's in the clear, because otherwise, like, you could be put in jail. You know, if you've got, you know, if you've got like medication that they think is dangerous, or, you know, and cough drops are a big deal. Pot, obviously, that's a big deal. Even medical marijuana, that's a big deal. So, you know, just fucking, it's crazy. And like the jails in Japan too are like awful. Like we
awful.
We nicknamed them we nicknamed the jail Japazkaban, because it's basically like fucking, like, it's just, you know, they don't let you talk, so there's like no talking. It's just like only cleaning, and you get to bathe once a week. You know, it's just like absolutely abysmal. And like you can be in jail for like in like a Japanese jail for like 7 years if you're caught with pot.
You know, I mean, it makes sense in a way to me. Not because like I understand why drug laws have to be that crazy, because I don't. What does, the reason why I'm not in any way surprised by this, I suppose would be the better phrasing, is that this seems to be the case for a lot of Asian countries in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the transporting in any way of any sort of illegal substance, no matter how mild, is treated with like getting almost beaten in public, like depending on where you are, and like in like whipped in jail and shit, like it like crazy stuff. Even if you're a tourist,
Mm-hmm.
like it blows my mind how incredibly strict they are, and yet people like the Yakuza and the Triad, these people still exist. Yeah. So these strict laws that are basically torturing people for the most minor of drug offenses, they don't stop it from happening.
No.
It's something that I really think that's something that really needs brought up. Like, this isn't working. So what do we need to do to make this not a problem?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's just absolutely crazy.
So does Japan get a lot of Chinese visitors?
You know what? Yeah. There's some students in various schools who are Chinese. And you know, Chinese is their first language, and they like move to Japan for like one reason or another, but it's very rare. Like you might get like one or two Chinese students, maybe like one Filipino student or something.
Do you ever, this is gonna sound a little screwed up, but do you ever mix them up?
Huh?
Do you ever mix them up?
What, like Japanese and Chinese students?
Confuse somebody who's Chinese with somebody who's Japanese?
Well,
I don't mean like, you know, all Asians look the same. I don't mean like that.
No.
I mean like, you know, you figure that somebody who is actually Chinese is instead Japanese.
Oh, no, that hasn't happened because when you introduce yourself to a given class, like usually the Chinese student will say like, "Oh, I'm Chinese, by the way," or whatever. So like they will offer up like, "Oh, by the way,
I'll tell you ahead of time so that this confusion does not occur.
Yeah, but one time I did confuse two of my coworkers, and that was funny. Like it wasn't like I confused that they were like one was Japanese when they were really Chinese. They were both Japanese, but they looked very similar. Like now I can tell the difference between them. Now it's like no issue, but when I first came here, I thought that the person who sat next to me was he sits next to me, so I read his name like, okay, this is this teacher. And then like I saw him all over the school and I'd like wave like, oh hey, teacher's name, whatever. And then I went to a party and there were two teachers sitting right next to each other that looked exactly the fuck like the person who sits next to me in the teacher's lounge. And I'm like, oh Jesus Christ. Oh no.
I feel like I'm gonna say something wrong, so I'm just not gonna say anything.
No, we're all assholes. Go ahead.
Now, I'm just imagining if that's what's going through your head with a situation like that. Like, I'm gonna try and not say something wrong, but I have a feeling it's gonna happen.
Well, I told them about it and they thought it was funny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, because they kind of got the idea because they were the same height, they have the same fucking hairstyle, they wear the same glasses. So they're like, oh, I see. She was looking at, height, hairstyle, and glasses.
Okay. So these are things that make sense to make somebody look alike.
Yeah.
It's such a weird question. I don't even know why I asked that. Why we got into that. So here's something. So in European countries like Scotland, Ireland, if you're descended from like Scotland or Ireland or other places that have like a rich culture or a rich history, but you're like third generation American, right? Mm-hmm. And you talk to somebody who's like directly from there, like first generation immigrant, and you're just like, hey, I'm actually Irish, and like there's usually a bit of like, no, you're not. You're
nice try. You're American.
Does Japan have a similar thing? Are there like people who were like not born in Japan, but they come over and they're like, actually, like I'm descended from Japan, and then people are just like, no, not really. Does that ever happen?
Honestly, like all the instances I've seen of somebody who was of Japanese descent but born in America, because some people who are doing what I'm doing are of Japanese descent.
Right.
And they're like, oh, we're American, yeah, I'm Japanese, but I was born in America and I am an American and I'm doing this, but like that, like they're more accepted as Japanese, really. Like,
oh, so they don't really have an issue. Just like, well, we'll go home.
Yeah. A lot of they were all fluent in Japanese as well, so it wasn't like a big issue really. Because apparently at my school, the people who were in my position before me were all Americans, but like with Japan, had a Japanese heritage. So I was like the first like fucking blue-eyed, white-skinned gringo to come to the school in like 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, so as far as I'm concerned, like they were accepting, but I can't say for sure. That's just what I've seen, is that they were pretty accepting of people who were of Japanese descent.
Well, that's good anyway.
Yeah.
Not something that you see a lot with European countries. There's just this sort of weird, mean-spirited thing about not being native born. and claiming descent. I don't know why exactly that's the case, but that's just is. Which I can kind of see why, depending on the situation, because St. Patty's Day is a thing, and every other just white dude is always walking around with like a green hat on, being like, "I'm Irish." No, you're not. You couldn't name a single fucking city in Ireland. I got Dublin. Name
Cork. Cork is a city.
That's so I can kind of see where some annoyance would come from that sort of like obnoxious behavior, I guess. But there's no real reason for that to be a thing as far as somebody who's of Japanese descent. Like, there's no fucking. I'm not aware of any Japanese equivalent to St. Patty's Day that just has a bunch of people going around almost mocking their culture on a yearly basis.
Yeah, I don't know of any either.
So I guess they don't have that to deal with, which I guess
not. No, I mean they might, because I mean I'm not Japanese, so I don't know. Maybe there could be like somebody commented like, hey, hold up, fucking Metapod. Actually, they were incredibly fucking racist and awful to me. So I mean I perfectly accept that might be the case, but from what I could tell, it's not really a big deal.
That's good.
Yeah.
At least they're okay in that aspect.
Is there a chat going on? Is there people in the chat?
There's one person watching as far as
Hey guy, how are you doing?
I don't even know who it is. Might just be Callum's like giving me support as far as I'm aware. Probably is. Like I said, I mean, this is the part of the day in which most of my audience is asleep anyway. So blah. Is okay. Another thing I've noticed about most of the rest of the world is that so many other people know a lot more about the history of America than a lot of Americans do. Is that a subject that's taught? Or is that just like a part of world history subject, and just there's a lot of focus on it, or like?
I'll put it to you this way. There are 14-year-olds in Japan who think that Mount Everest is in America.
The fuck? How the hell did they come to that conclusion?
I don't know.
Well, all right. Well, I guess there's that goes against that.
There are 14-year-olds in Japan who think that Mount Rushmore was built because they got the idea from fucking Naruto.
Well, there's stupid people in every culture, all right? And kids have the privilege of being stupid without us judging them too much for it.
No. I mean, I think that maybe world history comes later. Because I think they've only been learning about Japanese history thus far.
I'm just trying to imagine somebody seeing a picture of Mount Rushmore, being like, "They're copying off Naruto."
That's exactly what happened. I picked up a picture of.
How long do you think that took to make? Like, what?
I showed a picture of Mount Rushmore, and somebody said, "Hey, I stole that idea from fucking Naruto."
No, it didn't. This predates Naruto by like over a century. Like, no.
Then so people aren't like 100% sure that the Eiffel Tower is in France. They're like, I think it's It might be in like Italy, maybe Switzerland. I don't know. I know it's in Europe, but I don't. And I'm just like, really, like the Eiffel Tower. So I think that history is a little yeesh right now. But I'm sure that they learn the stuff eventually. Maybe it's just middle school where it's just only Japan. I've talked to like the social studies teacher and like the history teacher, and they're like, yeah, they only really learn about Japan at this stage. And then in high school they learn like world history.
Okay, I almost made myself look stupid there for a second. I'm just like, yeah, Mount Rushmore's been over a century. It has, technically. In fact, 2 centuries ago, George Washington began being made. But then the other presidents got made like progressively afterwards, with Teddy Roosevelt being the last one, finished in 1919.
Oh, okay.
So technically, it's been over a century, but it hasn't
been an ongoing process.
It hasn't been finished for a century yet.
Yeah. Okay, good. Like I wanted to double check. I thought that the person who made Mount Rushmore was like a Teddy Roosevelt. Like I thought it was the opposite. I thought he was like a big Teddy Roosevelt fan, and he made Teddy Roosevelt first, and then he was like, oh, well, I better put in the other presidents, like fucking. But, I pulled that out of my ass. I didn't do any research.
I'm still doing research on it myself because I'm still trying to figure out exactly.
Actually, Washington would be first, because Washington, if you look at Mount Rushmore, like that looks like the most.
It's the most detailed out of all.
Yeah, because Jefferson and Roosevelt kind of look like afterthoughts.
Oh no! Wait, the president's faces were completed between 1934 and 1939. Okay. Okay. So yes, it has not, in fact, been around for over a century.
Okay.
So I'm wrong. It's only been about 70 years. Well, 80.
It only predates Naruto by 70 years and not 100 years.
Yeah.
Or 100 some odd years.
I'm a silly Billy.
Yeah.
Interesting Mount Rushmore trivia. Fucking thrill as we glance through Wikipedia. And try and figure shit out. All right.
They do know that the Nile River is the longest river in Africa. There was a kid who knew that. There was a kid who knew about the Amazon River and that's in South America. So, like, they do know some stuff, but then there's
some facts they're aware of.
Yeah, but what's the biggest mountain in America? Mount Everest. It's like, no.
Nope, that's
not even the right continent, actually.
That's nowhere even close.
Yeah.
Mount Everest is biggest. This is not in America.
Yeah.
In fact, it's not too far away from you.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. All right, we've been going at this for over an hour. I'm pretty happy with what we've been able to accomplish. I was able to come up with a lot more questions than I originally had.
Nice.
So,
I went to karaoke, by the way.
Oh, you did. Share.
Yeah.
Dish.
And they did have the scoring system. And I sang, and I got a 6, and I was feeling good about it until somebody else sang, and they got a 12. And I was like, well, fuck me. I thought it was like out of 7.
I thought it was like out of 7, or maybe out of 10, and I'm at least adequate.
They know American songs. There's some American, or excuse me, not American, but like English songs that get played on the radio or whatever, like that are just really famous. Like, for example, Let It Be. Everybody knows Let It Be by the Beatles.
Okay.
And everybody knows Don't Stop Me Now by Queen.
Well, of course. You can't not know Don't Stop Me Now.
They know American Idiot.
That's a very weird one. That's just strange to me, because that's not even one of Green Day's good ones.
Yeah. And they know the song by Rihanna, "The Whips and Chains Excite Me."
I'm just trying to get through the progression here. We got Beatles and Queen,
and
then bad tier Green Day,
and they know
S&M Rihanna.
They also know party rock.
I'm trying to figure out how these merge together into some sort of coherent, like...
They also know the Full House theme. Somebody pressed the button on the karaoke machine, because it was like mostly English speakers and then like, you know, maybe a few Japanese people, but we outnumbered them, so they wanted to play as many English songs as they knew. This guy gets up and he presses this button, and I'm like, you know, it's like doom, do 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 do, and I'm like, okay, wait, hold up, what's happening? What is happening? It's whatever happened to predictability. I'm like, what the shit?
Oh, I would lose my shit. I would lose my shit if I fucking heard that in the karaoke bar. Oh my god. So it did have the grading system. It had
the grading system. It had English songs.
Even though none of them seem to coherently even go together as a genre.
No, I have no idea what all these songs have in common, but they're just like various English songs that broke through the culture barrier somehow to resonate with people.
Full House theme song. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's so bizarre. Really, the whole thing.
Stand by Me. They know Stand by Me.
Well, Stand by Me is a good one.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like, I'm just trying to think of like the random ass stuff that they know. Oh, I Want It That Way. The Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way.
I can understand that. I can understand any boy band song being known there.
Yes.
Because that's a huge thing for them, is they love like group band singers.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, I heard about one girl band that has over 100 members.
What?
But here's the thing. The purpose of this is not that all of them are on stage performing at the same time necessarily, or even in the same videos. But the purpose of this is so that they can send like different members to different areas in Japan to do like simultaneous autograph and photo shoots. Like the fact that they have so many girls in the band allows them to just have them go all over the place while still rehearsing with like core members.
Wow.
Is like that's the point. And apparently it works really well for them too.
That's crazy.
So they can do all the publicity stuff that they need to while still rehearsing. And like no time is taken away from it whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's ingenious, really, when I think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Boy bands, you're right. Boy bands are no surprise. They're popular. Justin Bieber's popular, but they call him Justin Bieber.
Beaver?
Yeah.
I like that.
They legit think that his name is Justin Bieber.
They know how it's spelled, though.
They know how it's spelled.
But they just think that it's supposed to be pronounced Beaver.
They think like, oh, well, you know, because there's some people who in Japan whose last names are animals in Japanese. Like you might have somebody whose last name has like the kanji for horse, or like the kanji for horse is like the most popular one, or the kanji for bird or something. But like you know, so they're like, oh, well, I guess this guy's last name is Beaver, whatever, you know.
I mean, it just makes sense. It's strange that something that that a lot of people would consider a sort of joke or jab at Justin Bieber's expense is sort of seen as like a serious, why wouldn't he be called that over in Japan?
Yeah. kind of how I feel. I'm like, oh my god, this is great.
Everyone sees it as normal. Oh, good lord. I love it. So, karaoke bar was a success, and it was fun, and it was also slightly bizarre, from how I understand it.
Yeah, the song choices were funny.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Oh, and Bohemian Rhapsody was sung as well.
Well, of course.
Of course, yeah. After Don't Stop Me Now.
If you have Don't Stop Me Now,
Yeah.
then Bohemian Rhapsody is somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't have one without the other.
Oh, and Disney. So like the
Also
fucking
not a surprise.
yeah.
A lot of that is based off of like cute Disney characters, and they love cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Disney songs were sung.
Which,
so
to be fair, who doesn't? Who doesn't love cute?
yeah. The Genie song, the Never Had a Friend Like Me, and
Oh my
One
God,
Jump.
I love that fucking song. I really do. I still listen to that fucking song sometimes. I'm just sitting here feeling all depressed. Just
Right
wah, wah,
after.
wah, wah, wah. Back
Yeah.
your friends do this and I love it. I love that song.
One Jump was also sung, by the way.
Which one?
One jump, head of the bread line. One skip, head of the sword.
Of course. I like. Well, to be fair, like Disney songs sort of transcend not only generations but cultures regularly.
Mm.
Like people in all over Europe know Disney songs.
Yeah.
Like it's not an American thing. It's really not. Disney is international.
Yes. Yes, very much so. They love Frozen. Frozen's huge still. And Toy Story.
And Toy Story?
Yeah, Toy Story.
That's not even Disney. Then again, it's about as popular as any Disney film at this point.
It's Disney Pixar, right? I don't know.
I thought Pixar split up with Disney. Wait, okay. Now I gotta do research again because I'm gonna look like an idiot. Pixar. Wikipedia. It's just known as Pixar Animation Studios. It did have a history as a Disney subsidiary. After Toy Story 2, they had disagreements. Okay. So, yes, the original Toy Story and Toy Story 2, at the very least, were developed both by Pixar and Disney because Pixar was part of Disney. All right. Yeah. Fair enough.
But Disney does their own CGI films and stuff, because Frozen is not Pixar, but is Disney, and, like, Rapunzel is not Pixar, but is Disney, or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. I don't keep track of any of this. But, Pixar's popular too. They love Mike Wazowski. Like Mike Wazowski's on bags. The green little monster from Monsters Inc.
Oh, right.
Fucking Mike was.
That also makes sense because he reminds me of a lot of Japanese mascots I've seen.
Yeah. So.
Because he's a monster, but he's not really all that scary.
Yeah, basically. Alrighty. So we good?
I believe I have completed my journey into learning more about Japanese history through the eyes of a basically permanent tourist.
Yeah, no problem.
I appreciate you sitting down and have a chat with me again, despite the fact that this is 2 weeks overdue and that I ended up sleeping over the past couple days when we were supposed to be doing this.
Yeah, because the first time around we had a miscommunication about the time zones. Then the second time, you were like, "I'm sorry, I was petting my cat."
I was. Last night I was petting. It was like 12. Like it was 12 midnight for me, and I'm over on my bed, pet my cat, and I just fucking pass out. And then I wake up, and it's like 7 in the morning, and I walk over, and I see a message from Metapod being like, "Yo, we doing this or what?" I'm like, "Shit."
Oh my god. And like you were petting your cat. Meanwhile, I'm in a Skype call calling people retards.
I'm petting the cat. You're being inappropriate.
Yeah, like some dude named Mike got added. I don't know who the fuck Mike is. Mike gets added, and he said like, "Hey, is your name Metapod?" I don't know how he sounds, but he's like, I'm just gonna picture him sounding like this. Hey, hey, is your name Metapod because of MetaWiki or whatever? Like whatever the fucking Nazi Wikipedia. And I said, "Are you retarded? It's a Pokemon." And then it was like whatever.
Here's the thing.
Comes in and he's like, "How dare you fucking call someone retarded? You hate retards, and like you're also a Nazi."
Mike. Some people might know him as like a regular YouTube commenter on like my videos, on fucking Napalm's videos. Bunch of people who are involved in our sort of like circle of friends. He regularly comments on them, but his screen name is Androgynous Buttocks.
Oh, I've seen that name.
Yeah, so he's been around, but that's not his name in Skype. And so he kind of, when he was explaining this later on, he said that he meant that sort of tongue in cheek. He didn't actually mean, like, it wasn't a genuine inquiry, basically. And then it turned into a fight, and he's like, I don't even know what the fuck happened. Like, Metapod called me retarded. I laughed, and then Darth was like, "You're kind of,"
out. And like he did the kind of like reversal or whatever, where it's like, "I can't believe you're so offended. You're offended. You're the one who's offended." And it's just like, you just freaked out because I called someone a retard on the internet who wasn't you and was totally okay with it, and he moved on. What?
Yeah. It was a very bizarre exchange in general.
And like I caught myself and I said something like, "Hey, I don't hate disabled people. It's about ethics in video game journalism, just to be like kind of silly and like, oh, how they are with like, oh, I don't hate women. It's about ethics in video game journalism or whatever." Like I was just making a little joke, and then he starts like doing the 4chan like greater than arrow shit on me.
Darth is a major 4chaner. He's a huge 4chaner. He gets a lot of memes from 4chan and regularly just posts them everywhere. Like, that's what he does.
He's got a problem with the whole, like, calling people, like, how does he survive on 4chan if, like...
Honestly, because this is why... Because I can't possibly believe that Darth was serious on that, merely because of how I know him and things that I know he's participated in as far as, like, 4chan and shit is concerned. And like other shit he's done in the past. I don't believe for a second that he was seriously just like, retard is not an appropriate word. I don't believe that.
He freaking, like, what did he do? He turned me into a spectator or whatever for it. So it's just like, oh, whatever. And he tried to flip the narrative so it was like, oh, I'm not offended, you're offended.
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I do think here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. I do honestly think that he was trolling you, and I do honestly think that it's still working. Is the fucking funny thing. Is like, he got you that badly that you're still just like, I think he was just being a dick. I think he's just an idiot. I think he got you really bad. Because there's no way.
Is that the plan?
Actually take
that. It's just like, oh, just you wait. They're gonna have a fucking. He's like, they're like twiddling his thumbs, being like, just you wait. She's gonna have a Skype call with Lundy, and she's gonna talk about how I was kind of inconsistent in the chat, and how I wasn't really reading what she was saying, and jumped to a conclusion, and then it kicked her out of a Skype call. Like, is that the plan? That's the master plan?
Yeah, just to frustrate you.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
He's a 4chaner. That's what they do. Like, are you confused as to why this would be a thing, knowing that he frequents that place?
Well, a little bit, because now I'm like, wait, why is it, what's with like the retard, like this whole thing, and that doesn't fit with like the, I don't know, it's just funny.
Ugh.
You got me, Darth. You trolled me good. You're a trickster. You're a twiddly trickster.
He's a goddamn Loki. You know,
I guess I just wanted to talk to someone about it. Maybe is
you know the funny thing is like Darth and I have like a fucking history. Like there was a point about a year and a half ago now, I think, if I'm remembering this right. My sense of time is fucked. But there was a point in which we fucking hated each other. Like to a monumental degree. Like we would say the most hurtful fucking shit we could about each other just to fuck with each other. Like I would make fun of his living situation. He would make fun of like people he knew were my friends. Like just anything we could say to get under each other's skin, we would fucking do it. And it got to the point where if we were even in a room with each other, I wouldn't engage him, he wouldn't engage me. But the second one of us engaged the other, was like fucking all out fucking war.
And now you're like buds.
Now yeah, basically.
So cool. That was really awesome.
Like, you can still probably find a video on one of Matt's channels where I just tore into Darth about his living conditions at the time, and then made fun of him basically for being homeless at the time, is what I said. I made fun of him for that. Like that's how bad it got.
I have a similar story. Can I tell this story and then this will be the end of the chat?
Go for it.
Okay. So when I was in high school, me and my friends who I went to high school with all had DeviantArt accounts. So we would all go on DeviantArt and draw like anime, whatever. And we were like, oh, you know, we all go to school together and we all draw anime characters. And there was another group of high schoolers. They were in a high school in Wisconsin, and they would all draw like rappers. And, you know, they would draw like pictures of Eazy-E and pictures of who else? Like, and like fake rapper characters of theirs. And we fucking hated each other.
Could not stand each other.
Yeah, like just commenting like all the like most atrocious shit, like, oh, fuck you, and anime's not real art. It's like, fuck you, rap isn't real music. Like this whole thing, like, you know, and like big in-depth posts about like how much we hate fucking rap music, and they would talk about like how anime is like bullshit and like whatever. And it was just like this random high school in Wisconsin. And they like all went to school together. And then what we did was we made like fake accounts making fun of them, you know, like fucking, oh, we go to like this fucking high school, whatever. And they would make fake accounts making fun of us, you know, and they're like, oh, we're a bunch of weird fucking losers. So
this got into some sort of weird cyber warfare.
Yeah, like this is just weird, bizarre, just like the rapper dorks versus the anime dorks, you know, just like completely. Anyways, then out of nowhere comes this kid named Joe who lives in Pennsylvania.
Ooh, that's where I'm from.
So Joe from Pennsylvania comes along. He hears about us, you know, he hears about our little anime group, and he hears about the rapper group. And he comes in and he's trying to get really popular on DeviantArt really quickly. So he's like, hey, come and please like all my drawings, you know? And so then like the Wisconsin school and us just like teamed up, and we were like, fucking Joe is a giant loser. So then we just completely, you know.
Joe from Pennsylvania is a giant loser. He wants everyone to like him because he's a fucking faggot.
Well, Joe would like draw like Legend of Zelda stuff and like South Park stuff on paper, and then take like photographs of his drawings and then put that into MS Paint and then MS Paint over his drawings, and that was like his style, and it looked really bad. And us and the rappers like teamed up, and we just like did what we were doing to each other, but now it was just doubly bad, and we just did it to Joe. Like, it wasn't nothing malicious, just like making fake accounts making fun of him.
It's like, poor Joe.
Yeah.
I just want to share my art with people and give people my stuff and connect with other artists. And I have like a bunch of high school students telling me my shit sucks, and then I'm a loser.
It wasn't anything like it wasn't like fucking like we swatted him or did any. I don't think we even like called him an asshole or like called him. I don't think we flamed him or anything. We just like did like little things where it's like we would make like a fake account kind of making fun of his art style, and then at one point he made a journal entry about one of his teachers. And like he posted like what school he went to on his DeviantArt, so like anyone could like easily look up like what the fuck school. And he's just like, and he wrote this big thing about how much he hates like Mr. Skeever or whatever, his chemistry teacher, and he writes this big long thing. And so we go to the school's website and we find Mr. Skeever's photograph, and we like make an account with like the icon being Mr. Skeever, and we're like, now Joe, that's not very nice. And Joe like freaks out. He's like, "Oh no, it's Mr. Skeever."
Oh my god, that's so devious and fucked up.
and he's got like all of Joe's information's out there. Like he put like his cell phone and like his address, and it was just like, "Come support me. I'm gonna be this great artist." And we were just like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?"
Oh. He should not have been given the internet if that's the shit he's doing. Like,
yeah, like for some reason, like we managed to like. I mean, it wasn't like we were looking for it. He would just post like all this stuff about his personal life and like, oh, he's got this many siblings and his mom had a miscarriage, so he would have had this many siblings. And it's just like, what the shit?
Just a bunch of personal information no one fucking needed to know. But he just decided my life is available for everyone to see. That's about as silly as me, 8 years old, with these Jehovah's Witness strangers being like, "Yeah, come into the kitchen. We'll just fucking have a chat." Like, that's how silly that is.
Oh, but yeah,
like use some common sense. Don't put your personal shit out on the internet so blasé and freely, unless you're really fucking secure with what it is that you put out. Otherwise, that shit can be used against you. So be careful. Not to blame the victim here, but there's just some shit you shouldn't share.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. Well, good chatting with you.
Yep, it was good having you on there, Metapod, and I'm glad that we were able to do this again. And maybe we can do this again sometime in the future. I don't fucking know.
Oh, that would be nice.
That'd be fantastic. I am enjoying our little chats, especially with as off topic as they get.
Are you gonna call this the Chris chat and like do all that?
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Oh my god!
I'll call it having another chat with Metapod, who wants to be known as Chris.
Yeah, and be sure to put like Chris Amorous in all the tags and like Sequester Zone and all the fucking.
He doesn't want me using his full name.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's just something to, yeah. I'll put Chris, but not, yeah.
Okay, sure. Sorry.
You didn't know.
Yeah, sorry. All right.
All right.
See you later, alligator.
Later.
Later.